it my absolute pleasure, to welcome you to this very, very special conversation that I think is going to be very close to our heart, and it is deeply relevant in the fast-paced, often overwhelming lives we lead. Today we'll be in conversation with Damini Grover, an award-winning psychologist, life coach, and author whose work has touched thousands. Damini is the founder of I Am Powered, a counseling and wellness center that helps individuals reconnect with themselves and navigate life with confidence and clarity. She's been recognized as one of business world of the most dedicated mental health practitioner, a true reflection of her commitment to emotional well-being. She's the author of 2 insightful books, and her latest works include Time to Come Home and a self-love journal, The Journey Within. Our conversation today will revolve around self-love, healing, and personal growth, themes that run through both her writing and her work. And I can promise you, this is not just going to be a discussion, just a conversation, but a much needed pause, a moment to breathe and to come home to ourselves. Damini, a very, very warm welcome to you. It's not just a self-help book. It feels like a compassionate companion that gently guides you to your most authentic self. The title sets the tone beautifully, and the cover, Damini, I love it, with its illustration of an open door, feels like an invitation. I read the book and believe you me, I loved it. For the way it made me pause and truly reflect on myself, on my journey, and on the quiet ways in which we often drift away from who we really are. The book is gentle yet impactful, an experience that lingers well beyond the final page. And now we come to the journal, which actually makes you do something. You not only read, but there are exercises for you. Now this self-love journal which Damini has brought together, it is a natural extension of her book. It's a guided space that allows readers to internalize and act upon the themes of time to come home. This journal is not just a place to write plays, it's a space to reflect, reset, and reconnect. And filled with structured prompts and introspective exercises, it encourages readers to explore their thoughts, let go of the emotional baggage, and take small, compassionate steps towards healing. It is designed for anyone, everyone. Whether you're new to journaling or an experienced one, develop a habit of checking in with yourself in a meaningful way. And one of the most powerful aspects of the journal is a series of reflective questions, each carefully crafted to help you dig deeper, gain clarity, and begin that long overdue conversation with yourself. Again, I have been journaling in this for some time now, and believe me, it's a wonderfully therapeutic experience. Now, of course, we begin the conversation. So, Damini, to start, my first thing to you, now you talk about self-love, your book talks about self-love, and so does the journal. So, what does self-love mean to you, and why do you think it is so essential in today's life?
I've heard a lot of people say that self-love is the need of the hour. It's not just the need of the hour, it's always been the need. And I know a lot of books and a lot of endeavors have already taken place around it. But these 2 are my ways of putting my understanding out there. And for me, both the titles, The Journey Within and Then You Come Home, they're both kind of linked, whichever way you take. But self-love for me is really about being, in simple terms, being okay with who you are. Where you're not on a day-to-day basis tearing yourself down. You're not trying to compare yourself with every person every now and then, wondering what's happening in their life, why isn't it happening in mine, why is my body like that, it's supposed to be a certain way. You're not judging yourself and beating yourself up for just the way you are. Fundamentally, as a person, the characteristics, the strengths, the areas of improvements, all of these things that actually make you you, you are okay with that. And that does not mean loving yourself, accepting yourself, liking yourself as a person. Doesn't mean that you have to be full of vanity. It doesn't mean that it gives you a free pass to treat people a certain way and just think of your own self. No, because the energy of love is such that it's nurturing. It's going to help anything and anyone that you come in touch with that energy. It's going to help that person or that thing grow. So when you start loving yourself, when you start approaching yourself with a certain kind of a mindset, which is of course growth oriented, nurturance oriented, you extend the same to the person in front of you. The whole idea of being vain, being self-centered, selfish, that will automatically not exist. All these things put together, for me, are self-love. And I feel that somewhere the definition of self-love has gotten lost in so much noise. Ever since social media also came into our lives, there's just too much happening. And there are too many views around what it should be and why we should be talking about it, or maybe we shouldn't be talking about it. Because why self-love? Right? This didn't exist 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Why are we talking about it now? But it needed to exist back then also. It needed to exist 100 years ago as well. And it needs to exist now more than ever, given the scattered lives that all of us are leading. There's a mental health crisis that's been going on for the past few years. It only got amplified ever since COVID hit. Right? So under the surface, people are not happy. They're not okay with who they are, and you have this entire world coming at you and telling you that, hey, your nose is not good, your hair is not done right. Career? What career? You should be doing something else. Body? What body? Relationship? What relationship? Everything is all over the place, which is why we need some anchor, an anchor to actually hold us down. And what is that anchor? It is the love, the liking, the acceptance that you have for yourself. Without this, life will be scattered. Relationships will be meaningless, and that's what's happening these days. So that's why I thought that, okay, why not put out whatever understanding I have in the form of a book or a journal or whatever it is that I do. At least we can consume things more easily now. So maybe this can help people.
I'm sure it will. Like I said, I've read the book and I've also, started journaling. So it does, because there are these little things which in all this noise around us, where we're looking at social media, people going on vacations, wearing these clothes, those picture perfect families, and you feel that you're falling short. But actually you're not. That is not, the world as it should be. And self-love, of course, many people confuse it with being selfish. No, I feel that if you are full of love, if you are full of abundance, that's how you're going to give that love to people. If I'm a happy mother, I'm going to make sure, actually, on its own, automatically my children will be happy. If I'm not happy with my life, somewhere I'm going to, just kind of maybe inject that unhappiness into their lives as well. So it is very, very essential to love yourself. Like they say, charity begins at home. So first, love yourself, and then love others, and the world will love you, right?
And in fact, it's not that you have to love yourself because you can put up a facade or pretend to be a certain way. But if you really want a nice, meaningful life, and a nice, meaningful life doesn't mean the one that does not have problems, that does not have uncontrollables, coming at you. No, it just means that you are aligned with yourself and you are making choices that make sense to you. It doesn't matter if they don't make sense to the world. Like, not everything has to, right? But you feel more connected to who you are and the life that you are leading, and that is all that matters at the end of the day. People will come and go, but you have to stay with yourself. So might as well create a nice, happy relationship with yourself.
Absolutely, it is so essential. We constantly keep thinking about what other people are thinking about us, but I think nobody has time for anybody. Everybody is so busy in their own lives and in their own set of problems. They don't know. I mean, they don't actually care.
And also, just to add, I would just like to ask the audience and also to check if everybody is awake. What's the number one disease in the world?
Depression.
What?
Insecurity.
It's not what you think, actually. Okay, overthinking, loneliness, depression,
Insecurity.
insecurity. Let me tell you. Remember this, huh? दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग?
I was going to say what people think.
Actually, overthinking, insecurity, your loneliness, relationship troubles, unhealthy relationship with your body, not being able to figure out what is the next step for me in my life.
That you have to do yourself. So tell me, when somebody has kind of, looked at the journal and then they've started journaling, and by the time they complete the journal, I haven't, so I can't say. So what kind of transformational or inner shift do hope someone will have experienced?
So the good part about the journal is that at the end of it, there's a small checklist. Right? So when you reach the end, the journal will prompt you to check in with yourself. And okay, from the time when I started journaling to now when I've reached the end of it, how do I actually feel about myself in different areas? Whether it's in terms of my relationship with my body, my ability to set boundaries, my ability to maybe create more joy in my life, to have more fulfilling relationships in my personal and professional life. So it's going to ask you to check in all of these areas. And the point is that from the time you started to the time you finally end the journal, the scores should be high. You should be close to a 10. Not a 10 on 10, but you should be closer to a 10. And all of this will happen incrementally. You cannot expect yourself to change overnight, and the journal or the book, or all of these things are just tools. But the more mindfully you use them, right? The word that you used, inner shift, small shifts will start taking place within you, and you will realize at the end of it, at the end of maybe 3 months or 6 months or maybe a year, if that's the time that you take to complete it, you will realize when you finally look back and reflect at the starting point.
That is so true, because anything, which is so deeply embedded in us, it just cannot move or shift in just a little while. It will take time. We will have to come to terms with it, and then of course try and ace the journey. Alright, so enough of questions from me. Anyone from the audience who wishes to ask Damini a question?
And then we have something fun for you.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Hi, that was very good. Thank you to both of you. My name is Sushmita. So, a minute on a little background. So, single child, single woman. And till date, I know you talked about shutting out the irritants to the extent possible. But till date, I get asked, why have I not met? Okay? And I do love myself, so that part is, as far as I have to start, I love traveling. I was just sharing with my brother here that every time I go to travel, whether it's solo with anybody, even before I get asked where did you go, I get asked who did you go with? Well, the mindset is very strange, and these are extremely irritating things which are there in the society. I wanted to know what are your thoughts on how do we shut out these things? It's good to be selective, but it happens so often that, and I am very social, so I do have a large network and a large circle. I'm into social work, so I get to meet a lot of people. But these kind of questions, and after my parents passed on and I was all alone, people think I'm crazy when I say that I'm comfortable in my own company. And I have to take great pains to explain that I am alone, but I'm not lonely. So they think I'm some crazy woman. So this is why I won't go on and on. I just want to know your thoughts on whether you've encountered something similar, or how does one deal with these situations. And I'm not wanting to sound negative. So I just want to clarify.
I completely
Thank
get
you.
it. Thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful share, personal share, and also those questions. Um, if the world thinks that you're a crazy woman for wanting, for actually being comfortable in your own skin, for living your life on your own terms, I have to break it to you. You will have to live it. Because, as you said, it's not about that the world thinks that you're a crazy woman. The world thinks that the whole idea of being okay with yourself is crazy. That's not how you're supposed to live. We live in a society, right? तो सोसाइटी में रहना है तो एक दूसरे के पीछे पीछे हमको चलना है. That's how we live. That's how we survive. That is the idea. That is the notion that everyone has been brought up with. Anybody who decides to do anything that is slightly unconventional, not being heard of, it's not being done that much, it will be considered as crazy. And so what do? You don't do anything. You just continue to love yourself, and you just continue to build that healthy relationship with yourself. You own your choices. डंके की चोट पे own your choices, and you don't have to explain everything to everyone. You have to choose your people. I'm not saying don't explain anything at all. Right? Be a rebel and kick people out and just do weird things. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is filter out the noise. Choose the people that matter to you the most. Help them understand how your viewpoint is different from theirs, because it is, right? And how it is helping you, because some of those people will be coming from a place of genuine concerns. Some people are just nosy. Yeah? They just like to butt in people's lives and try to poke and prod and derive some sadistic pleasure. Yes, those kind of people exist. But there are your people who do this out of concern, who are genuinely worried that what if you're actually lonely from within, and maybe you're not being able to share it with the world. Maybe you're not comfortable enough with us, and we just want to know how to support you. For those people, for your heart, give them the confidence that you're good enough on your own, and if you ever need support in whatever way, you will ask. But till then, you.
And this is, a very important thing that you mentioned. People think alone and lonely are the same. It's not. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I love being in my own company. So if I decide to sit by myself and go have coffee, or I, go to a restaurant and have a meal by myself, or I go and watch a movie by myself, it's not that I don't have people in this world. I just enjoy being in my own company, and believe me, that takes a lot of courage. Most of the people cannot do it. They constantly need that chatter around them. They need people around it. So if you can do it, you are inherently an extremely strong person. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you both of you.
Good evening, all of you. My name is Ashish. So I have two questions. So first, do you think that before start loving yourself, your situations should be stable and better? If you start doing things for yourself, but your family and your home should be in a stable and a right position. Because I don't think so that you just doing things for yourself and situation are like going very bad, and for one moment you will be fine, you will feel better and fine, but the other moment you will feel like exhausted and worse. So it should be, what's your point about this? And the second question is, before start loving yourself, there will be a bad phase, a bad situation in your life, where after the growth of that situation you start loving yourself. Is it?
So you asked two questions. I'll start with the first one. And it's a very important question that you asked, Ashish, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people may have found themselves in this dilemma that I'm going through a bad phase in my life. I'm in an unsupportive environment. So what do I really do? Right? How can I think of myself when things are going so bad? But here's what we need to understand: that loving yourself is not about doing things for yourself. Right? It's not about saying that, okay, if there is some trouble in my family and if I want to practice self-love, I will let my family go to hell and I'm going to go chill with my friends. No, that's not self-love. Right? That is you being ignorant, dismissive, and truly not living up to even the roles that you are playing. When we talk about self-love, we are talking about building a healthy mindset around yourself. That is what self-love actually is. It's the way you look at yourself, right? The ideas that you have, the opinions that you have about yourself, how you treat yourself on a daily basis, and how are you allowing others to treat you. So let's first understand that we are building a mindset. Mindset can be built at any point. And when you are going through a really dark, troubled phase in your life, whether it's because of something that's happened with you, or because maybe something with other people around you is not right, it is that mindset actually which is going to help you to balance yourself with the people around you, and it will help you to make the right kind of choices even in a bad situation. Because when our mindset about ourselves is not right, we are not treating ourselves the right way, we don't know how to show up in relationships. So I don't know how to balance my role as a child of the family, as maybe a partner, as a working professional. I'm all over the place. I don't know, right? I don't know how to make choices because I don't know what is important for me. I don't know what my own needs are, what is the situation demanding from me. How do I balance it all? I will not know any of these things. So a mindset can be built at any point in time whenever you decide that it's time for you to shift. If you're in a bad situation, it will help you. Many a times it also happens that we think that because the situations are so bad, maybe we don't have the bandwidth to change at that point, right? Because there's so much happening on the outside. Now I'm supposed to change who I am as a person, what I think, how I handle situations. It's okay, you don't have to take everything at once. Assess what the need of the hour is. Assess what does the situation demand from me right now, and I can start my work, a little deeper work, right, of really changing and transforming my mindset a little bit later. So I can also learn how to, I can position these things. But it doesn't mean that it has to happen right now when you're in the middle of chaos. Not necessary. But sometimes chaos demands that you do it right there and then. The starting point would be different for everyone. Yeah, it's a mindset. Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to happen in a day. So today I wake up and I say, hey, I'm going to love myself. Great. 1 week later I will fall back into the same bad pattern. Yeah, because I'm talking about years of conditioning and upbringing and all the noises that I've grown up listening to. It takes time to filter out all of these things. So you will have to be patient with yourself. Hope that answers it.
Yeah, actually, the both questions were actually based on my personal experience, and that both were the situation past 2 or 3 years in my life. So I came across from this, and that's why I want to people know about that. Yeah, you have to start something from the day, and you don't need to wait for के बाद में कर लेंगे और थोड़ा time हो जाते हैं. That. Thank you so much.
Also, I'd just like to add one thing. So, you know how in the medical world या health में we have a curative approach and we have a preventive approach, right? एक disease हो गया, एक problem आ गई, and then we run to fix it. And sometimes we can see the signs पहले से, and we say that okay, before it blows up into a full-blown disease, let me take preventive steps, right? It's the same when it comes to building your mindset. There will be times when the situation will force you to do that work on yourself and change yourself. So you're in the middle of chaos, and now you realize I can't handle myself, now I have to get my act together, right? So the situation will force you to take a curative approach. And there are times when things are stable, that's fine, but your mind will nudge you subtly that something within doesn't feel right, or something in my relationships also doesn't feel that great. So I'm not in a chaotic situation, but I'm not comfortable as well. So before something really bad happens, right? Let me start working on myself now. Now all of this is going to be very, very subjective. Who decides to work on themselves at what point, right? That they will figure out on their own.
Hi, good evening everyone, and big congratulations for the book. My name is Wesley, and I actually have a couple of questions, but I just need one because that's fine. You know, we have been talking a lot about self-love. So the meaning of self-love has changed over time. 5 years back, self-love could have a meaning of going to a park, or walk, or simple walk or jogging all by yourself. And today's self-love.
Yeah, right.
I find it to actually I read it last year. I gifted that book to myself in Diwali. I don't know what was the reason. I was just so mesmerized by the cover and the title, and I read it like not completely, but in part I read it. And one thing that I took away, like this discussion also, you had also mentioned that you have shared some stories that like vulnerable moment, and in usual self-help books that is something that we don't get it. And when we talk about self-love and talk about this selfishness, there is a very thin line. And there are few people that we met in our life, they are very simply camouflaging the selfishness in the form of self-love. So like how we can tackle them? Because when we say no, like let's draw the boundary here, you are being selfish, and they are in their notion, no, I'm like I have reached myself in the notion of self-love. So how we can draw the boundary? And my second question is extension of that we have just discussed that when we talk about that, take that first step. And especially I'm talking from the perspective of the women. In our society, the women have been like we consider women as a nurture. And when they think about thinking something about themselves, they are considered as a selfish person from that. So when they want to take that first step, how they can take that? I know that it's just for the first step, and after that it's journey that you can process.
Okay. So your first question is,
Selfishness and
you want me to answer selfishness first?
and
Okay, so we'll start with the second one. That's easy. The first one is easy. So your question is that as women, since we get to hear this a lot, that if we want to love ourselves, if we want to do something for ourselves, then we are being selfish. Right? Where do we start? We start right from the basics by understanding that really loving yourself is not selfish. We start repeating that to ourselves simply because when we say that, oh, if I do something for myself, it's selfish, right? What are we actually doing? We are just repeating to ourselves what has been repeated to us for centuries, right? So now it's on autopilot. We don't even realize it, and our mind is going to stop us from doing certain things. Or the minute we want to step out for ourselves, somebody comes and says, hey, but तुमको बच्चों का ध्यान देना है, तुम जाके खाना बनाओ, तुम क्या अभी ब्यूटी पार्लर जा रही हो, making a brand stuff, right? And your mind is going to pick that up and be like, हाँ मैं तो selfish हो रही हूँ. I should just go back and do what I'm supposed to do. Right? Why are we doing that? Because we have internalized that voice. We also think that it's true. The problem is that we also think that it's true. Forget what other people are thinking. But मेरे को भी यही लगता है ना कि अपने लिए टाइम निकालना, अपने लिए चीजें करने का मतलब है कि मैं सेल्फिश हो रही हूँ. एक तो हमको ये वर्ड सेल्फिश इसका भी पूरा मतलब नहीं पता. What is the dictionary meaning of the word selfish? Can anyone tell me? Like literally the dictionary meaning. And you can Google it. You can ask ChatGPT. Can somebody give me the dictionary meaning, please? Come on. Fastest finger first. I don't know what you will get. Let's hear it. Lacking consideration for other people. Okay, great.
Concerned
excessively or
Yeah.
Okay, so lacking consideration for others and thinking excessively for your own self. Any other component that somebody came across? Without regard for others, right? And in the other further explanations, you will also find the word with the intent to hurt or harm. If you read further, you will find this also as an attachment to that definition. Now, my simple question is, if I want to go to the beauty parlor, if I want to go to the salon to get my hair done, because I want to look good for myself, who am I hurting? Who am I harming? But I will hurt and harm someone if I steal someone's money. Okay? To go to. if I steal, then if somebody needs me at that moment, let's say a family member needs me at that moment, and they are in a vulnerable space, maybe they are in pain or something happened with them, and instead of really pausing to be there for them and figuring out, I just say, "Tum apna dekho na, mere ko to jana." Am I considering them at any point? No. I only have regard for my own self and my own hair. जो बाद में कोई देखेगा भी नहीं ऐसे act के बाद. So let's understand that we have concepts wrong, and we don't have concepts for a lot of things. So if you want to do something for yourself and you're not doing this with the purpose of actually hurting or harming someone, right? It is not selfish. It is just programmed in you because it made things easier for the society. It was easier to give people something that would scare them, that hey, you will not be accepted, and they would fall in line. That's all. Right?
Damini, I think that we have to follow a will path. We can discharge our duties at the same time take out time for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that is what self-love teaches you. Absolutely.
People sitting there would be doing, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And that is exactly what self-love is. So if I know myself, if I know what my priorities are, okay, let me add this. If I am saying that I know what my priorities are, will my family and my relationships not fall under those at all? They will, right? So if I love myself, right, and I'm saying that for me to feel nurtured, for me to live a full life, I also need my family. I also need my partner. I also need my friends. Right? Will I regard them or will I not regard them? What will I do? I will regard them, right? So how is loving yourself then making you selfish? It is helping you to regard yourself along with others. It is helping you to create, like what Matt said, a middle path. And that's exactly what we were talking about earlier as well. That it's about co-creating, it's about coexisting, collaborating. It's not one or the other. That's all that is teaching you. So I hope that the point that it's really not selfish is clear. Starting point, let's get the basics right? Let's get the concepts clear. Then your mind is going to be good. That's it. And the addition to your part where yes, there are people who would be camouflaging or who would try to manipulate you and all of that, what do you do? See, if you are in touch with your own self, if you know how to accept and respect yourself, you will understand when you're being manipulated. You will understand when somebody is trying to cross paths with you in the wrong way. And it's not about how to set a boundary. You will set a boundary. You will learn. Even if you don't know, you will find a way. Your survival instinct will kick in. You will learn. And then, of course, it's about refining it and learning to set boundaries the right way. But it all starts with you.
So I think when we talk about self-love, we are just expanding the definition of love. You love others and you love yourself. What's wrong with that? Just because I love myself doesn't mean I don't love my children, I don't love my partner, I don't love my husband. I love them too. So why can't I love everyone? It's a democracy. Alright, so any more questions?
Sure, there are people who will read this and looking for this. Who do you think are those kind of people who send this?
Anybody who is alive they like to read, and they have the ability to read, which means they've reached a certain point where they can actually read and enjoy reading, and they're interested in personal growth and development. You can send the book to them. So anybody about actually 18 भी नहीं, 15, 16 onwards till the time. किसी को भी दे सकते.
So let's move on. Of course, we've had a very engaging and I think a very, how should I say, a conversation which has made us, think about this idea of self-love and look at it with a very open mindset. There's nothing wrong with loving yourself. So now, to make this evening even more engaging, even more meaningful, we have someone else for you. And that someone else is someone who made this journal, the dream of Damini to get this journal come true. Because the journal's message is not only felt, it is also seen and experienced thanks to the soulful visual work of Rupambika. So, Rupambika, will you please join us and I'll tell you a little bit about her. So she's an artist, illustrator and visual designer whose work centers on mental wellness and emotional positivity. As the founder of Twillo Stories, she creates thoughtful products that promote mindfulness and joy through creativity. Her design work for the Self-Love Journal brings warmth, calm and intention to every page. And in fact, her illustrations feel like virtual hugs, gentle reminders to breathe, to pause and to heal. Her work has been widely appreciated across social media and celebrated for its ability to create safe and beautiful places for reflection. I now invite Rupambika to share her thoughts on this journal and the work she does.
Thank you so much. Very, very excited to be here. And I will take a little bit of time to talk about my experience designing the journal with Damini. When Damini and I spoke for the first time about the journal, and I read a little bit about, I read the script basically, the questions and prompts, I immediately realized that I have to do something really special because what she has created needs to reach people in a very, very special and a very different way. Being that I focus on art, I thought that this journal needs to be not just a writing experience but a creative expression experience. It's like when you go through the journey within, when you go through it, you don't really think about it just in terms of words, but you also think about it in terms of how it makes you feel creatively. Like you can explore, you can play, there are crossword puzzles, there are pages where you can actually draw or paint. It gives you that freedom to really just explore all the ways in which you can express yourself other than just basically think about or write. Right? I really wanted to get that across in the journal, which is full of a lot of these illustrations that I felt like will help people resonate with what they will feel when they do the certain prompts. So it's kind of meant to put the entire experience together. It's meant to be more than just a journal, it's meant to be like a very emotional experience with yourself.
So thank you for that. And now, of course, we've been, trying to engage you. I mean, she's the author, I'm a teacher, so we'll make sure that you don't fall asleep. So now we have a little activity for you. And this activity is actually meant to help you engage with the things that we've discussed. And you will find this small reflection placard placed on your table. Each one features a question inspired by the journal, and it is a kind of question that encourages honest, mindful self-inquiry.
So if I could just add, there are these 10 cards which are placed on the table, so they're not just 10 cards. Perfect.
Okay, now please remember these are not meant to be answered perfectly or quickly. It's like there's no fastest finger first over here. These questions are meant to be felt. So take a quiet moment to read your question, reflect on it. If you feel comfortable, you can jot your thoughts down or simply hold it on as a gentle prompt. And remember, like I said, these aren't just questions, they are invitations to pause, to check in, and to begin that subtle but powerful journey home to yourself. So please go ahead and take a look at the questions.
So all you need to do is just think of the question that's in front of you. Whatever thoughts come up for you, just either hold them mentally, you want to put some points down, do that, and after that you will engage in a little bit of sharing. Just take a moment for yourself. The ones who are not working on the prompt, I will definitely ask.
She sounds more like a teacher than me. I do.
I was somewhat of a bully in school when I came to
We can
11th
see
and
that.
12th.
We can see that.
Yeah, when I suddenly discovered I have a voice and I can use it.
So she was making up for the lost time.
I do it at home now. I don't do it publicly. Well, sometimes.
I would love to hear the other story from your family members.
If there's anybody who doesn't have the prompt, please let us know. We will send one right across to you. Wait for another minute.
So if you are ready and you want to share, well, we've all listening to you. Anyone wants to start sharing? Or? It's not mandatory, you don't have to, but if you want to.
Well, what I got is if I could give my past self.
Actually, I think we all need to, bring that child out. We just forget, again, because of what will people say and, whether it is age appropriate or not. I would just like to share. So I have 2 sons. So it's my younger one who brings out the child with me, and believe me, he's 25 years old. So we still do things like hiding behind the door or hiding under a table. And with my husband and my older one looking at us as if we've lost it, but it's okay, this is what we want to do. And like I said, bring out the child.
My dog brings the child. Whenever I feel that the dog brings.
Well, I don't have a dog, so. So anyone else?
So I got a prompt. Say I want to bring more into my life. So I've just written that I want to bring joy, happiness, and abundance in my life. Since I'm blessed to be here, listening to all this beautiful talk, beautiful conversation, so I deserve to have be joyful, happy, and abundant. So I'm working on that very hard. That's what is my fill in the blanks for me.
Thank you. That was indeed wonderful.
Thank you.
So I got this, I like it when that and I could answer it in 3 ways or write it in 3 ways. One was I like it when I'm able to help someone in need and make what you can of it. Of the other 2, I like to when I'm with someone whose company I enjoy. I like it when I'm by myself, relaxing and enjoying the goodness of life. I don't know whether these are contradictory to each other or not, but this is how I would think of one saying.
And that's okay. These prompts, we're not going to analyze these. These are just for your expression. And for each one of us to just see that how one mindful question can bring about a sense of connection with your own self. It can sometimes maybe rekindle the spark that you once had for yourself. Right? So those are the objectives, and we don't need analysis. We just need to flow with what our mind is kind of.
Not able to myself with tons of work at a single time. So I try to add too much to my to-do list for a single day, and that sort of breaks me down by the end of the day. So be more careful. That's what
Great. And maybe a follow-up question could be that, okay, how am I going to put these in perspective? what do I want to start by taking off from my plate? Thank you.
Okay, so I got this. Rest for me looks like. So rest for me looks like having lunch with my mother and having listening to her, and also laugh whatever the argument she had with my father. Because I'm from a Jat family, so my mother always speaks without any filter. So it's actually really fun, and I enjoy that.
Thank you. That's such a unique share, and your mother will be very happy to know that you really do love her.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
So I thought my life changed when my life changed when I left my best friend who used to indirect guilt on me for doing my favorite things. She made my thinking waking up birthday so bad, and she made me feel guilt for not meeting her after losing very closest person of mine. Now I don't want her. She was like, I'm just a girl, how can you treat me like that? I'm also a girl. How can you treat me like that? So, her definition of self-love was ignoring everyone and being with the person who is ignoring her. So that was the definition. Very complicated.
Really happy for you that you didn't let go of her, and that's what actually setting boundaries looks like. So thank you.
After leaving her, I set very good boundaries for myself. I started socializing. My anxiety went down. But when I used to be with her, like people have toxic boyfriends, I have. Even her
Toxic
boyfriend
friends are
was
real, by the way.
tolerating her and both were like, we are safe.
And toxicity does not need any gender.
Yes.
It's, you know.
Toxicity is everywhere.
Thank you for sharing.
My prompt was one thing I need to be more intentional about, and I have answered, like I have two answers for it. One is that whom I'm calling my friend, because sometimes what happens that people are really your colleagues and you started feeling that oh my god, ये तो मेरा दो या हमारी friend मतलब के साथ मिलते हुए भी मेरा friend, and then they like promotions के time पे बोलते हैं. And second, I should be more intentional about how I respond, because I'm like hyperactive in that time. And sometimes I'm supposed to respond, but I ended up reacting so much, and then I realized, oh God, ये अच्छे लिए बोला जा रहा था. Now I can't undo. So I'm working on it on the second one, but I'm still failing on the first one. I ended up tagging everyone my friend, and I see how can I work upon it. I'll meet you after this session.
Just stop tagging them. Yeah, those two are two very powerful insights that you've come up with for yourself. So kudos to you. Great. We have time for maybe one last. If anybody wants to go, anyone? Oh, we have one.
I love you. Please be considered.
Oh, now I can see you.
So the prompt I received was when I feel overwhelmed, I remind myself how far I've come, from all the skills that I've learned along the way. The people who supported me, friends and family, and strangers alike. And so we have to remember that kindness goes a long way. So especially these days when you wake up and you hear hurtful things every single day, it helps me remember that there are kind people out there. I think that's one of the most essential components of self-love, is to be kind to yourself and forgive yourself. And I've also spent a long time introspecting and identifying what works for me. So I make little lists, I take naps, I play with my niece and nephew, I watch like a childhood favorite film, and I always eat every day for playing with my best friend. So these seem like really trivial things, but they have such a big impact on my state of mind that I've now realized that even the littlest change can have the biggest impact.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to highlight that you mentioned all of these little things in the list, and that's what happens with most of us, where we think that these things really don't matter. Like we need to take our time for the bigger things, but it's the smallest of things that make a huge difference. and to your energy, to your mood, to your thought process, which is why we need to make sure that we are creating some room for them. And they're little, right? So they won't take so much time. Thank you for sharing.
So like little drops in the ocean. So let's begin the process. So I guess we are now okay to end this. So just to repeat, Time to Come Home isn't just the title of a book. The journal is not just for jotting down your thoughts. These are both heartful reminders that everything we seek, everything we long for, begins within us. In a world that often pulls us in countless directions, this book, this journal, this conversation should help us bring to center. As we reflect today through Damini's words, through the journal prompts, through Republica's visuals, and through our own quiet introspection, let's carry this message with us. That we are enough, that our story matters, and that there is power in pausing, listening, and coming home to who we really are. So thank you all for being a part of this experience. May it stay with us much after the session ends. And before I end, we must thank the Lodhi for its hospitality, and of course Madhavi from Soul Stories who helped us put all this together. Thank you very, very much. And a wonderful evening ahead for you. So the book and the journal are both kept there. If any one of you want to take them, you're more than welcome. So please, and I would suggest that you should.
Alright, so thank you everyone for being such a great audience. You asked such amazing questions, and the Q&A is always my favorite part. So thank you for engaging so wonderfully with us. I hope that you did have something. You took back something with you, and I hope that it stays and it's going to help you to create some small shift starting today.